This week on the Irreverent Nerds podcast, we continue Video Game Month with a review of the 2003 Japanese anime series Sonic X. Stay tuned for more right after this. I'm Richard.
And I'm Will.
And together we're
The Irreverent Nerds. Bum, bum, bum.
Nerds, I have some exciting news to share. As of today, we are now offering a monthly subscription service for our listeners. For the low price of $2.99 per month, subscribers will gain access to 2 bonus episodes and an invitation to 1 Zoom gathering a month. Additionally, every subscriber will be entered into a monthly drawing for an appropriately nerdy prize. Click on the link in the episode description today to get started. Nerds.
Hey, all you nerds out there in Nerdland. Trying something new.
Nerds, nerdettes, and assorted nerd persons. How you doing? What's up, my friends? What's up, my friend? Will, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I am tired tonight, but we're going to do this thing.
We're going to do our thing.
Yep.
So we went out and took a walk beforehand just to get our energy levels up, and we both need to lose a little weight too, so that's not going to hurt.
So I spent the last week streaming all of Season 1 of Sonic X.
Will is prepared. I have not had a chance to watch much of it at all, so I'm coming in as the novice. I will be the interviewer. Will be the interviewee, the resident expert, quote unquote, at least on Season 1. Neither one of us have watched this before. So, of course, obviously, Sonic X is what we're going to talk about today. Which I would have already said on the intro. So, redundancy. So, Will, well, tell you what. I'm going to read just a little blurb here from Wikipedia introducing the series, and then I'm going to let Will kind of run with it, and I'll chime in with questions. So Sonic X, this is Anime Week, and this is an anime, and since this is Video Game Emphasis Month, this is an anime, obviously, Sonic the Hedgehog, based off of a video game. So Sonic X, as the Japanese might say, Soniko Ekusu, is a Japanese anime television series based on Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog video game series, produced by TMS Entertainment under partnership with Sega and Sonic Team, and directed by Hajime Kamigaki. Sonic X initially ran for 52 episodes, broadcasting on TV Tokyo from April 2003 to March 2004. A further 26 episodes aired in North America, Europe, and the Middle East from 2005 to 2006, which I'm assuming you didn't get to those, so you just saw the Japanese portion.
Now I was watching the 4Kids dub because I didn't realize Hulu had the subtitled Japanese version on there, which most people consider superior. But yes, I only finished Season 1 and then caught about 2-3 episodes of Season 2. So I definitely did not get to Season 3, no.
Well, do you want to give your own synopsis, or do you want me to read a little bit of the wikis?
Well, in Sonic X, watch Sonic and his friends get lost on Earth, as they don't know nor do they care how or why they're on a new planet. Watch them as we introduce new characters that we don't care about and are never developed for an entire season. Watch them as they get their passports and eventually gain citizenship.
Citizenship on our planet?
Yep.
In the United States or in Japan?
Well, I assumed Sonic X was taking place in Japan, but as I watched the series, I found out that it's actually taking place in some sort of parody of America.
Okay.
We actually do go to Japan in one episode. There's a character. It's not called Japan, but it's basically it's Japan. And we do see the White House and the president all throughout season 8. Named in Sonic X. I assume that's where the series is taking place at.
Yeah, and I had to close out the old Wikipedia because my PC is old and needs more memory. So we've got Audacity running on here, which has worked really well for the audio. You know, with our, which if you guys watch us on YouTube later, you can see our setup with our dual mics. I mean, we've posted on Instagram about it too. Slowly over time, been building up our tech, and eventually want to get a mixer, and we've talked about that before. But anyway, so yeah, so we won't have ye old wiki to double check things. So nerds, hey, that's your job now. You be our Wikipedia. If we get something wrong, and you actually care, obviously, let us know. So let's see. So I watched the very beginning of episode 1, and granted, I was in the middle of doing dishes and stuff here at the house, so I wasn't fully engaged. But even so, there's certain shows where even when I'm doing dishes, if I see an opening that grabs me, I'll like stop. And it didn't grab me, at least the opening didn't. And you said something similar about the entire first season.
Yeah, the entire first season did not grab me. I consider season 1 as nothing but filler material for an entire season.
That's sad.
And I know the show is made for kids, but we don't really develop any of the characters at all. We get introduced to them. Some of them are just there. They just exist. That would be like Chris's school friends. They just exist. They don't really have personalities, and I don't even know their names. I know one of their names is Helen, but that's not really one of Chris's friends. That's just some girl that Sonic met out at a lake.
Oh, is Chris is he the human boy?
Oh yeah. Let's jump back. So Chris Thorndike is our human protagonist on the show. I think he's supposed to be the stand-in for the child audience. For the child audience to see themselves in. Oh, hey, I'm like Chris. I'm having adventures with Sonic. But
maybe it was their attempt to keep up with Pokemon at the time or something. I mean, I don't know. You have like a human counterpart.
No, I don't think it had anything to do with Pokemon, but I understand what you're trying to say. You're comparing him with Ash Ketchum, who befriends Pikachu and the others. So I understand what you're saying.
A boy and his pocket monster, or a boy and his hedgehog.
I would have loved having instead rewatched Pokemon Season 1, I tell you what, but because I actually enjoyed that show.
Well, darn. Well, we'll know for next time.
That's fine.
But I think also we didn't have easy access to streaming, so sometimes we have to go with what we have easy access to, because our budget is very small.
Yeah.
For
well, Sonic X isn't terrible. It's just it didn't grab us.
Yeah, and I'll probably will watch a little bit more just out of curiosity. But how would you say? We haven't rated a TV show before, but if we were to give Nerd Hat ratings, how many Nerd Hats would you give it, and how would you compare it?
I would
to
maybe
Sonic Underground. You know, like the
Sonic Underground.
Sonic Satam.
Sonic Underground. We promise our mother will be found. Sonic Underground.
Actually, maybe I'm referencing the wrong thing. Because that's a different show than Sonic Satam, right? Sonic
right.
Underground. Okay, never mind. I got my shows mixed up.
Well, no,
I never did watch the Sonic Underground.
It made sense to me because, as far as I'm concerned, Sonic Underground and Sonic X are both on the bad Sonic spectrum. But I'm not being fair. The Japanese Sonic X is probably slightly better, but and I'm gonna say right now, Sonic X is still better than Sonic Underground. I just didn't like Sonic Underground. That's a story for another time. But compared with Sonic Sat-AM, I'm going to say Sonic X definitely gets the game continuity correct for the most part. I really love, and yeah, I do want to say some positive things about Sonic X. I mean,
if there are some, yeah.
Yeah, no, there are. I just got a little burnt out from streaming this thing for the past week.
Oh yeah, man. We'll put in his due diligence this week.
It was on my watch list. So here's a comparison with Sat-AM. Sat-AM takes the material more seriously. We have more emotional story arcs with or I'm not sure if story arcs is the correct word, but
yeah,
Sonic is trying to rescue his Uncle Chuck, who's been turned into a robot, and his pet dog Mutsky, who's been turned into a robot dog. He has a romance with Sally Acorn, the princess. Except for Antoine, the cast is all likable. We actually...
I thought the skunk was the one you didn't like.
The skunk. Oh, no. The skunk didn't exist in Sat-AM. The skunk only exists in the Archie comics.
Okay. Yeah, Antoine, he wasn't... I didn't hate Antoine, but he was annoying, I think.
Yes.
That's the main thing.
Yeah. I think Antoine got developed better in the Archie comics, but...
Princess. Oh, my princess. Didn't he have like a kind of a lame French accent?
He did.
Antoine. My princess. Yeah, it's been so long since I've watched that show. But anyway, so is there...
And Robotnik is more threatening in Sat-AM. Robotnik is just goofy in Sonic X. Now, they never call him Robotnik in Sonic X, but it's the same character.
Is he called Eggman?
Yeah, he's just called Dr. Eggman.
Dr. Eggman.
Because he's so fat, he looks like an egg.
I am the Eggman. I am the Eggman.
And Sonic talked a lot more in Sonic Sat-AM. In Sonic X, Sonic is just kind of the strong silent type. He's kind of aloof. I'm not sure how to describe it exactly.
He's here to save the day and nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic X has way too many characters they're trying to balance, and a lot of them, I think this is the reason why a lot of them don't get developed.
Just too many.
Yeah, they're just too many. They're trying to balance all the game characters with all the unnecessary human characters they decide to throw into this world. I mean, they did a good job fleshing out Chris Thorndyke's world, don't get me wrong.
So did it end up, in a sense, being where you neither hate, know, or love any of the characters? You're kind of like indifferent. You're like, I don't really care what happens to them, or...
No, I do like some of the characters.
Some, okay.
I don't care about Chris's school friends because... I mean, Chris doesn't even care about Chris's school friends. He's all like, Sonic's my only friend in the entire world. I mean, Chris, we could all complain about. Everyone who's watched this show knows what I'm talking about. Chris is emotionally needy. He's extremely clingy on Sonic. It's like if I were writing a parody of this show or a comic spin-off, if I were allowed to actually put in some intelligent writing, Sonic.
Ouch.
I don't know.
Burn.
Sorry. It's just a kid's show. It really is. But I feel like Sonic should put out a restraining order or something. Chris
should have said no.
Yeah, Chris is not as bad as I expected him to be, but okay, let's back up. You said earlier I hadn't watched this show before, but that's not true. I had, when I heard this show was coming out in the late 90s, early 2000s, when I can't remember the year. We talked about that on Wikipedia.
I think is
2003?
When the Japanese episodes aired. I think it's from, we were just reading that a minute ago, so 2003 to 2004. And then some American episodes came out in 2005 to 2006.
So back then, I was so excited, I downloaded some Japanese episodes over dial-up. Good old dial-up.
Oh, you had dial-up back then?
Yeah, I had dial-up back then.
That's true.
And that
I
took
guess
a while.
that was like the transition period where not everybody had cable internet yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really liked
Wow.
it. It had this like rock or techno or some sort of
Dang,
music
that must have taken
befitting
sorry,
Sonic
I'm just still
episodes.
thinking about download speeds. That must have taken like 10 hours to download a 30-minute episode.
It probably did. I think I downloaded it on the Apple iMac. It took a while. I was like probably using GetRight or GitHub or whatever that program was called. You just back when you couldn't just right click on something and do save
man.
as.
Yeah, I remember, and this would have
Put
been
this Earl in, grab it.
this would have been 2000, right around the turn of the century, 2000, 2001. I think we might have had, I don't know if we had cable internet yet. I don't even know if that was a thing by then. We might have had dial-up. Either way, I just remember to even, like, some places, websites were putting music videos up, but to even watch it, you had to wait 30 minutes for the thing to download.
Oh, I know.
To download before you could watch it at all. So, like, or to load, maybe even. I don't even know if download is the right term, but yeah, you couldn't just, like, with YouTube today, you couldn't just, like, click play and then boop, there it is. Nope. You had to wait 30 minutes to watch a music video.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, you were selective because you're like, I really want to watch something I actually care about. But no, I'm pretty sure I did that at some point for like, because back then, you know, the big pop music was like the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, and like Jennifer Lopez was getting her start around that time too. I think maybe a little bit before that, but like she was big at that point. Yeah, like Jessica Simpson. Like these are blasts from the past for those of you who were of age around that time. Like anybody who was like a preteen up into high school probably listened to all that, and maybe older too. I know there were like middle-aged women that go after the boy bands and stuff.
My yeah, I know. My little
like,
my
"Oh,
my
so
gay little
cute."
brother just drove me crazy with his Spice Girls.
Oh, I like the Spice Girls. Huh?
There were Spice Girls all the time in the house.
Oh, I didn't listen to the Spice Girls. No, I never did. I never did get into that. I don't think. I might have heard one or two of them, which I doubt any of them. I don't know if any of them talk like this or not. But you know, Spice Girls. They're from London. London.
Yeah,
England.
I think so.
Somewhere in England, anyway. Yeah. All right. I just know one of them married David Beckham.
I didn't even know that. I
Yeah.
don't really care to know that.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you which one. I just know one of the Spice Girls married David Beckham. You know, obviously he's more famous than they've ever been, but yeah.
So Sonic X, I watched maybe the first 2 episodes in Japanese subtitles that I downloaded off the internet back then, and I liked it back then. But when I finally watched an English episode by 4Kids, it was kind of a turnoff because they replaced the really cool music with some sort of orchestral music that just is not befitting Sonic. You know, Sonic games are known for having fantastic music, but not the 4Kids Sonic X. It just is devoid of music that is worthy of Sonic's name.
Well, was it
I
Sonic
got used
3,
to it though.
Sonic 3 that Michael Jackson did
Yeah,
the music for, right?
exactly. You know, that's Sonic music.
Like not hard rock, but like pop rock, I guess.
Yeah. Music with attitude. That's Sonic, because Sonic's got attitude. I mean,
A smooth criminal.
you know, no, Smooth Criminal was in Sonic 3.
Was it?
Yeah, the
Nice.
ice cap zone. Actually, it was.
Is it like well, obviously a different arrangement, probably, but like
Yeah, it was a sped up version, which is actually closer to a song that existed before Smooth Criminal, but that's a story for another time. I can't remember right now. Hard Days or something.
Queen.
No. It was one of Michael Jackson's
Oh, no.
friends who said, "Oh, I have this song. I couldn't get it. You know, maybe you could do something with it." As he turned it into Smooth Criminal.
Smooth criminal.
But If we ever have a podcast episode where we talk about Sonic 3, maybe I'll get into it.
Billie Jean was not my love. Thriller.
Anyway, so watching, and before I continue, I did have a DVD of some Sonic X episodes at one time from season 2.
Oh, okay.
But I just didn't like him, and I got rid of the DVD. I still have season 1 of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and the complete series of Sonic Sat-Am.
Mm-hmm.
But I got rid of Sonic X because it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Now, what Sonic X gets right is it gets the Chaos Emeralds right. It gets the characters right.
Which ones?
Well, the Sonic characters.
The Sonic. Okay. The ones from the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slightly different take on Sonic, but he's still basically the same character. Tails, Knuckles, Amy, who also needs a restraining order put against her. I mean, she's not as bad in Sonic X as she is in the video games. She's like crazy psycho. She wants to force Sonic to marry her against his will, especially Sonic Heroes, the video game. Yeah, you'll hear me comparing this TV show with a lot of the source material.
Wow, so it's like reverse patriarchy. So
I guess.
Oh.
I'm gonna hunt down Sonic and make him mine. He won't be able to say no this time. Get out of my way, Eggman.
Yeah, obsession.
Yes. But so Chris is kind of like that, but since he's a boy and not a girl, it's for different reasons, but it's kind of weird. He's really clingy on Sonic. And it's
Like,
not
I
as...
never knew friendship until I met a blue hedgehog from an alternate dimension.
Yes, that's basically it with Chris. I mean, he doesn't... The Chris character doesn't get to see his parents because they work all the time. His parents don't even get to see each other. His mom is a movie star. His dad is the CEO of a tech company. And you would think that at least the dad would come home to sleep at home, but no, he's like traveling all the time. So Chris's parents are basically Mr. Tanaka, the limousine driver, and Ella, the Spanish cook.
That's sad.
And his grandfather Chuck, which is a reference to Uncle Chuck from Sonic Sat-Am in the Archie comics, and I thought that was really neat. I even looked into the Japanese name for Grandpa Chuck just to make sure, and yeah, in the Japanese, his name is Chucku, so it was intentional.
Grandpa Chucku.
Chucku. It was actually intentional. They actually named the character after Uncle Chuck from the Sonic Sat-Am show. That was pretty cool.
Not to be confused with Uncle Buck, a movie from the 80s.
Right. So I think that they get the Sonic anthropomorphic characters correct. Sonic isn't as wisecracking as I'd like him to be, though, but he's still fun. He's still cool.
Here's a question. So I don't know that I have not seen. Like, I need to catch the more recent movies. I've not seen either of them.
The second one was really good.
Who voices Sonic in that? They don't bring Jaleel White back, do they? Because that would be great.
No, they don't. It's somebody, I can't remember his name right now, but it's this young guy who voiced one of the Huey, Dewey, Louie characters from the new DuckTales. New DuckTales.
Okay.
I just can't remember right now.
Yeah, like
Ben Schwartz? Is that his name, or is that the actor that plays the cop? By the way, the cop...
That name sounds familiar.
The cop in the two Sonic live-action movies is a better human connection with Sonic than Chris Thorndike. I'm just saying. Just putting that out there.
Is that the
I don't
Jason
know
Marsden character?
Yeah, that's right. It is Jason Marsden.
So he plays the cop?
Yeah.
Like the live-action friend?
Yeah, and I don't even know why Sonic even needs a human...
The Dave to Sonic's
friend,
Alvin.
But I guess that helps him fit into the human world better, I guess, having a human connection.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wouldn't it be awesome if they did a live action version of the SatM storylines?
Yeah, yeah.
That would be cool. Like, make it a little more edgy.
Yeah, that would. I mean, I definitely wish that Dr. Eggman in Sonic X was a lot more threatening, like Robotnik is in Sonic SatAM.
Does Jim Carrey come off as threatening at all? Or is he just goofy, over the top?
No, he's threatening.
So he's menacing enough.
Yeah, he's menacing. He's
Okay.
more menacing than Eggman in Sonic X.
Yeah.
I mean, Eggman in Sonic X is more of a... He's a cartoony evil genius. I don't know. He's likable. I love his voice actor.
His Jim Carrey's performance. Sorry, I'm getting back to Jim Carrey, but his performance, and we're getting off topic, but I know, but like,
Oh, it's fine.
it's like the only villain I can think of him playing is the Grinch, and I did not, still to this day, do not like the live action Grinch.
Really?
Nope.
I kind of like it.
I don't hate it, but Benedict Cumberbatch, the more recent animated one, so much better. So much better.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can have a...
And I love me some Jim Carrey, but just, no, didn't work for me.
Oh, okay.
Him as the Grinch. Mm-mm.
Maybe in December we can, like, review Christmas movies or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe so, yeah.
Unless we take a break for the holiday season.
I'm trying to think of a good sci-fi Christmas movie. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Santa Goes to Mars or something. I'm sure that exists.
Yes, it does exist.
Does it exist?
Yes. Oh, we could talk about that right now, but
Santa Goes to Mars.
we shouldn't. It's not as cool as you think it is.
I feel like I have this vague memory of you telling me about it at some point. Yeah, that's probably where it came from in my brain. It's like Will associated with Santa. Isn't he like fight? Isn't it violent or something?
No.
War?
The title makes it sound like it's violent. It's like Santa versus Mars or something.
Santa versus Mars.
But I haven't actually seen. I maybe saw a clip of it. I just heard about this film. I didn't actually watch it, but instead it looks really boring. It's like the children of Mars kidnap Santa because they want Christmas on Mars or something. I don't know. It's just not. It's not what the title seems to make you think.
Ho, ho, ho. What am I doing here?
Speaking of violent Santa movies.
Yeah, there's a new one.
Yeah, with
David Harbour. Right?
Yeah, and that looks pretty good. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, and then there was with Mel Gibson a few years before that.
I saw that.
Fat Man.
Fat Man.
Wasn't it called like Fat Man but he plays like a Santa Claus.
Maybe we're thinking about two separate things.
But it's like very violent. I have not seen it. I just saw the trailer.
I thought we were talking about the Santa Claus
with Mel Gibson
Chronicles.
Whatever that Santa movie that Mel Gibson was in, whatever it's called. Anyway, we're way out in left field here.
Sorry about that. I had to take a cough break. Richard was sick with head cold last week. Now I am.
Yeah, we like to pass these on to Will. Pass on the fun. Yeah. Somebody needs to feel our pain.
I see how it is.
Yeah, Will's the receptacle.
And I just want to jump back and say I don't hate Sonic X. I'm just tired tonight because I had to work today and it was a rough work day. And
yeah, but that's not why you think it's not a great series.
No,
right?
it's not.
Objectively, is not a great series.
I mean, there are good things about it. Don't get me wrong.
So would you give it 2 nerd hats or less?
I think I give it a 3 out of a 5.
Really?
Is that too high?
I mean, the way you're describing it, it sounds a little high. Like mediocre would be like 2.5.
It might be 2. I hear it gets better in season 2, and I did watch about 2 or 3 episodes of season 2 earlier today, right before the podcast actually, and the episodes were sped up. I thought season 1 was kind of slow paced, which is not good for a Sonic show. It might be more of a 2.5. It's not. I just don't want to be unfair to the show. Mm-hmm. It's a good children's show. I just wouldn't recommend it for adults. That's all.
So let's talk about the plot a bit. if there is much plot. Like,
Oh,
maybe that
there
was part of
is.
the criticism. You said there's not a lot of story arc. Like what would be the conflict in the series? Like, is most of the conflict with Dr. Eggman? Has he stolen something and Sonic's trying to get it back, or how does the conflict come in, if any?
Well, the episodes in season 1, I consider season 1 to be a big filler season. That's how it feels to me. But
Is it like a Eggman villain of the week?
yes,
Kind of thing. It's like here's another Eggman villain, and here's another henchman, and here's another.
yeah, they're just random robots of Eggman, and the robots don't even look like they came out of the video games. Instead of, they just look like, I'm not sure if generic is the right word, but they look like
More
anime
something
robots.
From, I was gonna say something from like Gundam or something.
No, that would look cool.
Gundam Light.
Like, for example, there's this episode where they go to Africa, and this just popped in there. This is not even an example. Okay, most of them are just bland anime robots, but I gotta tell you about this one robot.
Okay.
They go to Africa, so Eggman unleashes this gorilla robot. It's a female gorilla, and the female gorilla robot has boobs. And there's a cockpit in each boob is clear. There's a cockpit in each boob where one of Eggman's robots, Boko and Deco, sit to pilot the robot.
Inappropriate.
Well, if you want to talk about inappropriate, we'll talk about Sex Appeal the Bat.
In this series or a different?
Yes, this series.
Really? Okay.
Well, I was going to say Boobs the Bat or Cleavage the Bat, but I was
Bat
trying
is
not to be
very
super inappropriate.
Very shapely.
That would be Rouge the Bat. That she comes from Sonic Adventure 2, which is an American Sonic game in which I think they were trying to appeal to teenagers. By the way, this show made me just want to go play Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. It really just did.
Game Gear back in the day, or Game Boy Advance?
Dreamcast.
Game Boy Advance. Dreamcast. Okay.
Yeah, Dreamcast.
Nice. I never did get a Dreamcast. I dreamt about getting a Dreamcast.
The Dreamcast was too beautiful for this world.
Never did. Like I kind of wanted a Sega Saturn too. You remember the Saturn? That was like their 32-bit first disc.
Really? I thought that was 32X. I don't know.
Well, no, they had Sonic Saturn, the Sega Saturn. Excuse me, the Sega Saturn. I think it was 32-bit, but it was their first non-console or non-cartridge console.
Right. I never had a Sega Saturn.
And then was the did they have a 64-bit one in between? I'm trying to think.
That would be the Dreamcast, maybe. I can't remember how many bits it was.
What was the final one? Was the Dreamcast the final one?
It was the final one.
I was thinking it was 128-bit, like the PlayStation 2.
It might have been. I don't remember. That sounds right, but I just consider PlayStation, Dreamcast, and N64 to be competitors.
You had Sega Genesis, which is 16-bit, and I think the Saturn was the next thing, I believe. You had kind of the 32X mock-up that you could plug into the Genesis, but it wasn't like a true 32-bit engine. I don't know if engine is the right word, but yeah, the Saturn, I think, was their 32-bit offering. It was like the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, I think was 32-bit, if memory serves me correctly.
You know,
I may be wrong about that, but I think it was 32-bit.
Despite the fact I'm wearing a Nintendo World hat right now, I'm actually a big Sega fanboy. And now that we're talking, I just suddenly realized that starting with the 32X, Sega just had a history of really terrible consoles ideas, which is just sad. I mean, Dreamcast was wonderful, but it wasn't enough to save the company.
They just didn't have enough games for it, enough good games.
Well, I thought Dreamcast was wonderful. It was... The 32X had like 8 games.
Oh, well, yeah. I remember that. Like, one of them was like a Mech Warrior or something. I think I rented it a couple times, like the 32X, and played a couple games. I plugged it in and played a couple games. I do remember playing this Sega Saturn at there was this store. There's some video game nostalgia here. Yeah, we see we're going off on tangents and talking about this because it's more interesting. Than,
Yeah, I was
than
just
Sonic
thinking
X.
of that. I was just thinking of saying that. Oh, we're talking about this because it's more interesting than Sonic X.
Which is okay, who says we have to talk about Sonic X for the entirety
It's
of the
related.
episode? Who says
I
that?
I do have some interesting things that I wrote down on this list here, but
Okay,
I'd like to get to
okay.
eventually. But
Yeah, well, let's jump onto that. There was this store. I lived in Arizona. It might have been the only place that ever existed, but there was this awesome electronics store called The Incredible Universe that was there, and you go in there, and it was just designed really well, like, and like you would walk in, they had this big central. I don't even know what the right word is. Like, it had like a central hub where they would have special not events but like special displays. Like for a while they had virtual reality pods. You could go and play VR.
Cool,
like
cool.
Some of the very earliest VR back in the 90s.
that was nightmare inducing.
No, I mean it's polygonal, so it was like,
That's what I meant. I'm joking.
but yeah, but then they would have like these wings that would branch off from the central place there, and the wings had different video games. Like one had handheld consoles. That's where I got to play the Atari Lynx, which I always wanted an Atari Lynx. That thing was cool. It is the first 16-bit handheld system, by the way. Came before the Nomad, and I'm trying to think. I don't think Nintendo ever came out with a 16-bit. I think they went straight to the Advance, right? Because that was 32-bit.
Wasn't the Sega Genesis a 16-bit?
No, Nintendo, like.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nintendo. No, that would be the Super Nintendo. Wasn't that a 16?
No, handheld. Like,
Handheld.
So you had the Game Boy, which was 8-bit.
Sorry, I got distracted.
Then you had Game Boy Color, which I think was still 8-bit. But I don't think they had a 16-bit in between. I think they jumped straight to the Game Boy Advance, right?
Right.
That was a 32-bit. So they didn't have an in between. Whereas Sega did have the Nomad, which was, I mean, it played Sega Genesis games, so it wasn't precisely a Nerds. We would love to find out who is on the other side of the microphone. There are multiple options by which you can connect with us. Our Instagram handle is @irreverent_nerds. We are on Facebook and YouTube as simply The Irreverent Nerds. Makes sense, right? And of course, we are on your podcast app. If you listen on Spotify, scroll down through the episode description and you will see a question. What did you think of this episode? We welcome your feedback, including your constructive criticism. We also post episode-specific polls and questions from time to time on Spotify, so please feel free to jump in and give us your 2 cents. All right, nerds, I've talked enough. Let's get back to this week's episode.
For a retro gamer, I need to study up on my retro game systems. I should be ashamed.
But anyway, Atari was actually, they were a leader in consoles makes sense. They had the first big hit, in the home consoles with the 2600. I think it was one before that too. And then you had the first, they went straight to 16-bit handheld, and that was the only handheld they ever made was the Lynx. One of the cool features was you could play it left or right-handed. You could flip it over and play it left-handed, flip it over, play it right-handed. And it had a handful of games, but they never made enough games for it, really. And then they were the first company to come out with a 64-bit system. They had the Atari Jaguar, and that was their final console. And it just, combination of not having enough games for it and not marketing it well, it just, that pretty much killed their console. They just didn't do well enough. And I think around the same time they stopped making computers as well, and now they're like video game only. I think that's all they do now is just video games.
Okay. Yeah, I may have owned an Atari 2600 as my first system, but I never played any Atari consoles after that, so I really don't know a lot about them.
I think we used to get like the Atari magazine or something.
Cool.
Because like my dad, that was one of his earliest PCs was an Atari PC, and then he passed that on to me when he upgraded to Windows. He got his first Windows 3.1 desktop. But anyway, enough retro tech nostalgia. What are some of your notes here on this series?
Yeah, I'm looking it over. Just some things that popped out to me or something. Whenever these characters like go for a swim in the ocean or something, they have no toes. They just have flesh lumps.
Flesh
It was
lumps?
the weirdest thing. Yes, they just have a big flesh lumps at the end of their ankles.
Huh.
Now, like the American Sonic cartoons, they give them toes, but
So they
this
take-
is just
So they take their
flesh
shoes
lump.
off, and they have no toes.
Exactly. They just have a flesh lump in the shape of a shoe.
Interesting. Okay.
It's really off-putting.
That seems
To be
like
honest.
you would not be able to run as well, I feel
No.
like, without toes.
It's so weird. If they didn't want to draw toes, should have at least just given them socks or water shoes or something.
Yeah. Or just left their shoes on, for crying out loud. Why take them off?
No. Yeah, one episode the rabbit character Cream leaves her shoes on, and someone complains, "You're going to get your shoes soggy," and I'm like, I don't want to see her flesh lumps.
So does it look just like a foot, except with no toes, or is it worse?
Well, at first I thought that
Like,
they
is
were
the-
wearing shoes that just happened to be the same color as their skin tone or their fur tone or whatever, but I'm like, nope, that is a flesh lump. Well, I guess we could say that they're so furry that we can't see the outline of the toes. Well, maybe we can just say that. I don't know. It's weird.
Hobbits? No.
So, I did want to talk about this one episode, which a lot of people say is a really good episode. I can't remember what the number of the episode is, but it features Sonic meeting a girl in a wheelchair named Helen and promising her parents are too busy for her too, like Chris Thorndike. So Sonic promises to take her to this island in the middle of her favorite lake to see some flowers on the island out there. It's an action-packed episode too, because the government is invited Sonic to the White House for a party because it'll boost the president's poll ratings for his re-election campaign. But Sonic decides to take the girl to the island that day instead because he has better priorities than they do. And so
Oh,
the
man.
vice president sicks the military on Sonic, so he's like running around with this girl in a wheelchair trying not to get hit by missiles and crap.
Dick Cheney.
Yeah, that was during the Bush administration, wasn't it?
Like, or just imagining George W. Bush meeting Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, Sonic. I can't do it very good. George W.
You know,
impression.
in the video game Shadow the Hedgehog.
Huh?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So in the video game?
In the video game Shadow the Hedgehog, which Sonic X does not adapt, this game takes place during the Bush administration, and the president in Shadow the Hedgehog, the game, keeps talking about how they won't negotiate with terrorists. These are terrorists. Those are terrorists. And you can actually choose to assassinate the president in one level if you want to.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm guessing a Democrat, like a very bitter Democrat, was involved in the making of that or something.
I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was interesting given the president in the White House at the time and whatnot.
Wow.
But this episode with Helen, in this episode, the government clocks Sonic as his max speed of 700 miles per hour, but when he's pushing the girl in the wheelchair, they clock him at 400 miles per hour, pushing this girl around in her wheelchair over rough terrain and everything. And she's not even wearing a seatbelt, and he just stops on a dime. It's a really good thing that we're working on children's cartoon physics, because in real life,
She would have gone flying.
yeah, she would have gone
and
flying.
and died.
You've broken every bone in her body or worse. Good. Well, thank you, Sonic.
What? I mean, she's holding onto the wheelchair. Didn't you notice that? Will she grabbed on just in time? Right?
Yeah.
So she didn't fly off.
Yeah, you're right. I did see that.
She has the reflexes of a.
Darn you, Richard, making sense.
Yeah, I have not seen it, so I have no idea. My guess is they didn't bother to do that. Just like, oh, it's like no seatbelt. Magic.
Oh, we were talking about comparing this show with Sonic Sat Am earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is one thing that's interesting they kept. In Sonic Sat AM, when Sonic gets a power ring, it gives him a speed boost. The same thing happens in Sonic X. They're always throwing at least one power ring to him per episode where he gets a speed boost that helps him out of some troubling situation. Well, I really like that as a fan of Sonic Sat Am that they brought that over.
I never really liked getting speed boosts in the game. It made it too hard to get all the coins I need to get, unless I was in a hurry to get to the end, and get like a time bonus or something. But yeah, I actually was just playing Sonic 3 the other day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, first time in a while. Anyway.
Well, it's more enjoyable than Sonic X, so.
I'm sure. Memories were coming back, though. Like, even my old... It's amazing. Like, I played it a lot in the 90s, but, like, my old muscle memory was, like... Granted, I was playing on a PlayStation controller, so it was a little weird. Yeah. I need to see if they have... Well, no, I guess I should get one of those Sega Minis or something at some point.
Yeah, I've got one.
Do you?
Yeah.
Does it have the same style controller?
Oh, I love the controllers of the Sega Genesis Mini. I also got this wireless controller. It works with my computer too. As a matter of fact, they're USB controllers, so all of them will work with your computer.
Nice. Anyway.
I'm just looking over my notes right now. You asked what season 1 was about. We never really talked about that earlier.
Yeah, like is there? You mentioned there's not any overarching emotional plots, like relational plot, but is there?
No.
Is there at least like a basic story? I mean, Sonic comes to Earth. Obviously, he meets the boy. They get to know one another. Do they like fight Robotnik at some point? Like, does it culminate in a fight with the Eggman himself?
Yeah, the entire season culminates in this battle. Eggman has his flying fortress in season 1 that basically looks like the Starship Enterprise from Star Trek, and then it transforms into this big robot powered by the Chaos Emeralds, and Sonic is able to get the Chaos Emeralds to become supersonic and save Chris Thorndike from Eggman. It does culminate in that. But the season 1, the overarching plot is just... all the episodes are loosely connected. You don't have to watch one episode to enjoy or get any other episode. I mean, there's a 2-parter called Defeating Eggman. I really like those episodes, actually, where the government... destroys his base, raids it. Yeah, I like that, but
darn you, government, destroying the Enterprise.
No. Yeah, that happens too. That's Sonic that destroys that, but
Sonic, it's your fault.
But yeah, Eggman loses a lot in like every single episode. Yeah, he loses a robot or something. But
Eggman, you suck.
Yeah, each episode is...
You suck eggs. No.
It's true. It's true though.
Is it?
I don't know.
Like, I know they have a scene showing him like.
I can't remember right now why they call him the Eggman. I think it's because he's shaped like an egg.
Yeah, that's what I've always assumed. It's loosely shaped like an egg.
In the Fleetway comic book, they actually have Dr. Kintobor, the good scientist, eating a spoiled rotten egg while tripping and absorbing chaos energy and turning into Robotnik. So, there's been some creative writers trying to explain why he's called the Eggman.
I do wonder, like, in one of our Instagram posts, you probably noticed I used the Beatles song, I Am the Walrus.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it actually has the lyrics. It's like, I am the Eggman, I am the Eggman, coo-coo-ca-choo, coo-coo-ca-choo. It's like, but there's both an Eggman and a walrus in the song.
Yeah.
And there's also an Eggman and a walrus in Sonic Sat Am.
Is there a walrus? There is a walrus. That's right.
And in the comic, Sounds like somebody's a Beatles fan. I bet.
Huh.
You never know. Maybe that's where it came. Well, I don't know though. Well, yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
You know, Robotnik was originally designed to look like one of our presidents, Theodore Roosevelt.
Really?
Yeah.
Theodore Roosevelt. That's random.
Yeah, but maybe he was named Eggman because someone was a Beatles fan. There's another Beatles reference in the video game Sonic Battle on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a nightclub called the Walrus in it, which is funny.
Nice.
But yeah, season 1 is just about introducing all the characters, just having random adventures, and just slowly, so slowly, getting the Chaos Emeralds together. I feel season 1 is kind of slow. That's just my opinion.
Not enough meat on its bones.
I mean, we introduced a lot of characters. There's like Chris Thorndyke's Uncle Sam, who is a police officer on the speed team. He catches speeders, and he's always challenging Sonic to races. But we never develop his character. I mean, most of these characters are never developed.
So like, I want you to race me.
Yes. He's kind of over the top.
I want you.
But I know nothing about him. I mean, there's nothing about him. He makes a couple of speed jokes about how he was born fast and everything, but we never get to know who he is as a character. I don't know if he's married. I don't know if he has kids. I don't know what he does when he's not on his job. Apparently he races Sonic when he's not on his job. And that's what I'm saying, while these characters aren't developed. I know nothing about Chris's friends. He's got the Tolkien black boy friend. He's got this ginger redhead girl, and there was like a third friend, and I think that they just dropped her and stopped using her because I haven't seen her in episodes. And speaking of which, I feel like I skipped an episode because suddenly all of Chris's 2 or 3 friends knew who Sonic and his friends were. Like they already met them and everything, but there was never an episode that actually introduced them. I mean, they go through all these episodes where Sonic and his friends are slowly revealed to the maid and the limousine driver and the other characters, but yet Chris's friends who are just kind of there just suddenly know him and are just going out on adventures. It's weird.
So let me get this right, Chris. You know, you're friends with a bipedal, 3 foot tall, blue animal from an alternate dimension who says he's a hedgehog, but for some reason has no spikes and runs faster than any hedgehog has a right to. It's like, how does this make sense?
Well, the people in the episodes didn't think it made sense either because they thought Sonic was a robot. In like one of the early episodes, Grandpa Chuck takes a screwdriver to Sonic's butthole, trying to unscrew him and figure out where the batteries are. And Sonic's like, ouch! And jumps up.
Anal confusion.
That does not go there, Grandpa.
Whoa! Oh my goodness. So, have you ever heard of John Mulaney?
Don Mulaney.
John Mulaney. He's an American comedian. I can't help but think of he has a story he tells about a time that he lied to the doctor in an effort to get drugs. I think it was like Valium or something like that.
Valium,
this is when he was younger and much less responsible.
No, I'm thinking about Viagra. Never mind.
No, not that. No, something, not Valium, but something similar. And so he told the doctor that he tried to make up something that would be a reason for a visit. He's like, frequent urination is what he chose. And it asked, how many times do you urinate a day? And he's like, I tried to think of an answer. I was like, I wrote 11. That was too many times to say. So like the doctor comes in and he's like 11 times, huh? All right. Bend over. We gotta check your prostate.
And you can get Valium out of this.
That's what he was hoping. He was hoping the doctor would just prescribe him something. It's like his friend had, I guess, gotten away with it. He just told his doctor he gets nervous on airplanes, so he wrote him a prescription. Which you can get in big trouble if people find out you're doing that. By the way,
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if it's a felony, but it's probably at least a misdemeanor.
So unless you're a comedian who can use this for your act later, don't do it.
But no, sorry, I'm stealing John Mulaney's thunder, but you should check him out. He's pretty funny. But I mean, this is a real story from his life. I'm sure he's exaggerated a little bit, but he's like, you know, you say to yourself, I think I know what most things feel like. It's like, the doctor first puts his finger up and he's like, it's like the sound came out of my belly. It's like a demon escaping. It's like
demon. The power of Christ compels you.
And and then when he pulls it out, like it feels like you're pooping because the only thing to ever come out is poop. So then as it's coming out, he thinks he's just like crapped on the doctor's hand. So he's like, I'm sorry. It's like, wow, what a day this doctor's had. It's like, so far he's gotten, and I'm sorry. Anyway, John Mulaney, check him out. And John, if you're listening, love your comedy. Gave you that one for free, my friend. Free advertising. Anyway, back to Sonic.
Back to Sonic. Now, I will say episode 20 is probably my favorite episode of season 1. It is pure comedy.
Okay.
It is pure comedy. Sonic is stuck on a cruise ship. He cannot swim, and he is going insane. There's not enough places for him to run, and he's afraid of water. Can you run across
the water? Like, if you run 700 miles an hour, couldn't you, like, run across the surface of the water somehow?
He sometimes does that, but in this episode, he just tries to... He's just stuck. He goes from one end of the ship to the other and just goes around in circles until he flings himself off the ship, trying to go further and further to try to reach the mainland. Can't even see the mainland. He just goes kerplunk in the ocean. They have to keep rescuing him. It is just comedy gold. Then they send they pick up some elderly people in a helicopter and bring them to the cruise. And Sonic thinks he's going to get... We missed
the boat. Don't let you left without us.
Yeah, Sonic thinks he's going to escape on the helicopter, but the elderly accost him. You're so cute, pinching his cheeks. And he's like, wait for my ride. And so, it's just great. And the maid / cook, Ella, flies the airplane, the X-Tornado, like a crazy
Ella!
At the end of the episode. No. That was my favorite episode.
Nice.
I just really like the comedy.
So if they had gone straight comedy for the whole series, it would have been better.
I just think Sonic X Season 1 is just too vanilla. I think that's the problem.
So it kind of what I was saying earlier is like, you don't love or hate it. You're just kind of like, eh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate it. I think
because it's almost better for something to be so bad that you hate it.
Yeah.
Or so good that you're like, I love it. But if it's like, it's almost worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just...
Like, it evokes no reaction whatsoever other than,
I mean, it's Sonic content. That's good.
True,
but...
True. Anyway.
It's for kids. Kids will love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if that's who it's geared towards, and, obviously it wasn't super successful because they only did one season, but... at least
3
for the
seasons,
Japanese.
actually.
Well, the Japanese, they only did one season, right?
2 seasons.
Two seasons, sorry.
The 3rd season was made specifically for Western audiences because the show did better in the West than in Japan.
Oh, okay. I don't know what that says about us, but...
Sonic has always been more popular in America than in Japan, to be honest, as far as I've been told.
Interesting.
What I've read.
Is Mario more popular than Sonic in Japan?
Mario is popular everywhere.
But, like, isn't it in the fight? I mean, obviously Nintendo won the console war.
Yeah.
But, like, are their characters also more popular in Japan, I wonder? I'm curious.
I don't know.
Any Japanese folks out there? I know we've got some listeners in Singapore, which is not too far from Japan. So if you have any friends from Japan over there, ask them what they think, if they know the answer. Anyway, continue, my friend.
I don't know if Mario. I think Mario's just plain popular in both regions.
It's me.
I wanted to talk for a second about Eggman's two robots, Deco and Boko. They're bumbling robots that serve as his right and left-hand men. They complain about him and make jokes behind his back.
Kind of like from... I don't think they ever made fun of Robotnik in Sonic Adventures, but
Yeah.
he does have two dumb robots.
Yes, yeah. Oh, Scratch and Grounder.
Oh, yeah.
And then in Sonic Sat-Am, Robotnik has Snively or Snively.
He is at least intelligent, right? Like comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, he's plotting to replace his uncle Robotnik, but yeah.
Robotnik, I'm going to take over the world of Mobius. And Snively.
Speaking of that, oh, well, no, I'm getting off track.
Didn't like Robotnik get this really deep? He's like, yeah, it's kind of like the evil guy from Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll
it's
get
like
you,
this,
Gadget.
I'll
Probably do better.
Get you, Gadget. You never see his face. Never see the guy's face.
Never.
Which is kind of cool, actually. I like that. Anyway, Inspector Gadget, another callback to the 80s. Dun, 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 dun.
I wonder if Boko and Deco are the predecessors of Orbot and Cubot, which eventually did make their way into the games. I mean, Robotnik / Eggman has had a lot of, in all these different series and video games, he's had a lot of characters that he could talk to. I've never liked any of them, though, except for maybe Grounder and Scratch, but that's just me, I guess.
Grounder, for some reason, Grounder makes me think of Patrick.
Patrick Star from SpongeBob?
SpongeBob. Patrick.
You're right. I guess they have similar voices.
Yeah. Similar intelligence levels.
Yeah. Speaking of similar voices, I did notice that Mr. Tanaka is played by the same voice actor. Sorry, can you hear? I took my face away from the mic. Darren Dunstan plays Mr. Tanaka in Sonic X, and he also plays Master Splinter in the 2003 Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Okay.
So just a little factoid
Man
there.
was getting around back in the day. 20 years ago. That's hard to believe that's 20 years ago. Dang.
There's another robot. Have I mentioned how much I hate the robot designs
Yeah.
in Sonic X?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's another robot called Bokun, which his only job is to bring a tube television to Sonic that has a message from Eggman, then the tube TV explodes in Sonic's face.
This message might self-destruct. Or it will self-destruct in 30 seconds.
I mean, the character acts like a mischievous child. The character did grow on me, I admit. Especially, there was this emotional moment between him and Ella, I should say, the maid, when Bokun came to the mansion and found out, yes, Chris Thorndyke lives in a mansion. I forgot to say this. But he comes to the mansion to deliver Sonic a message or something, and no one's there except for the maid, and he starts crying and says he's lonely. Then he throws a bomb in the maid's face. But anyway.
I'm lonely, therefore I will kill you.
This robot doesn't even look like a robot. I actually was questioning if this was
I'm an android.
one of Sonic's animal friends from Mobius or whatever, just in a costume or something. It's just weird design.
Robotified. Oh no.
Boko and Deco do talk like that, though.
Do they?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's lame.
But speaking of Mobius, it's never mentioned what planet Sonic and friends are from. In this universe, the Chaos Emeralds send them through time and space to Earth, but Sonic comments that the stars are exactly the same, and I'm just wondering if Earth and Sonic's home planet are the exact same planet in different time periods.
Alternate dimensions.
Or alternate dimensions.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
You know, in the Archie comics, they actually revealed that Mobius was the planet Earth after a nuclear holocaust, which like World War III, which the humans almost killed everybody on the planet, and the radioactive fallout caused the animals to evolve into anthropomorphic animals.
To mutate.
Yeah.
So instead of Planet of the Apes, Planet of the Mammals.
Yeah, Planet of the Sonic.
Apes are mammals, but like Planet of the other mammals.
That's crazy.
Planet of the various mammals. Mammalian revenge. No. He's like, Sonic falls down. He's like, "You maniacs! You blew it up!" Our Charlton Heston reference.
I mean, I've got a few more notes on here, but they're not super interesting. I could talk about how, and this requires an explanation if you haven't played the Sonic Adventure games, but there are Chow Gardens on Earth, and it's never explained why. Apparently, they've been there since Mr. Tanaka was a child. The Chow are Sonic pets, basically.
Oh, I thought you were talking about food. Like, hey, it's a place to get food. Chow Gardens? No, okay.
A Chow Garden is garden area where Chow colonies live.
Chows? Chow?
I don't really understand what a Chow is. There's some sort of Sonic Pet Simulator side game in the Sonic Adventure games.
Huh.
The Archie comics explain that the Chows are connected to Chaos somehow. Chaos is this water monster. I don't think the games ever give them an origin, but that's another piece of evidence I'd like to put forth in the Earth is Mobius's Earth theory of mine.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I've run out of things to talk about season 1. I got burnt out watching season 1, but I look forward to season 2 because it's just straight up game adaptations of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I do look forward to that. I probably should have just jumped straight to season 2 and just watched it instead. But yeah, it is what it is.
Well, it's okay. I mean, it gives enough to talk about. We made it to an hour, so we did it. We did it, or you did it, I should say. I was just the comic relief, I guess.
Oh, it's fine. We had
a commentary. We have reversed roles.
They
say that it happens if you're a couple long enough.
Ha 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 ha. Ho ho ho.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Ha.
Mm-hmm. Funny. No.
Well,
Romance.
it was a good recording.
Yeah, man.
You sidetracked into some interesting areas.
Yeah, man. Retro video games, Sega Saturn. There was this one. Do you remember the Panasonic 3DO? Remember hearing about that?
Yeah, I do. I never had one. Never played it.
I only played it at this Incredible Universe store, and they had a cool setup for it too. There were like 2 games I played. One was like with a gecko. Gex,
oh
Gex,
yeah, Gex.
Gex, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I used to play Gex on the 64.
And then there was like another game, some kind of like, it was a futuristic sci-fi. You play like a fighter pilot or something in a futuristic sci-fi. But yeah, the controller was like very basic and like rectangular, I remember. But it was black controls. Like, but yeah, that was the only game system Panasonic ever made, and you know they didn't game makers, I guess, weren't particularly interested because
I guess not.
It never took off. But I remember playing it back in the day. Yeah, they had all this stuff. They had like the Neo Geo.
Oh yeah, and the Neo Geo Pocket.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they had the. I don't know if the Pocket had come out yet, but
Oh, okay.
but they had the original. I think the original Neo Geo there you could play, and this place was so cool. Like the Incredible
Cool.
Universe. Sadly, it went out of business and got replaced by Fry's Electronics.
Was that over there in Arizona?
Yeah, in Arizona.
Cool. Well,
Which
yeah, we
Fry's
didn't have
Electronics-
any here.
No, like I don't know if it. Like I said, it might have only been there. Like that might have been the first one. I honestly don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it was a chain or not. I should look it up sometime. But yeah, it was a fun place to go as a kid. They even had a little daycare center. Like if you want to go there as a parent and just wander around, you could put your kids in the daycare center there. Like it was
That's
a cool
different.
idea, but I guess it just didn't sell enough, and they went out of business. And then Fry's Electronics, which is a very boring place to shop. I mean, it has everything you need, but it's just boring. Like the design was just straight up boring. Maybe it's changed now, but like Incredible Universe was just fun to go to. Yeah. And I still remember playing the VR. I think you had to pay $5 to play for, I don't know what it was, 15, 20 minutes or something.
Cool.
But yeah, my dad sprung for it at least once, I think, and I tried it. And yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, obviously this is back in the 90s. I have not tried more recent VR. Yeah, at some point I want to do that. I want to try VR at some point.
Man, VR today is trippy.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just like 7 years ago, and I'm sure VR has improved since then. And I'm not sure it was 7. I'm just throwing a random. It was sometime in the last decade. I was at Best Buy, and they had this Batman VR game, like entry into the Arkham series or something. So I was Bruce Wayne in Bruce Manor, and suddenly I went into the Batcave with the elevator. Man, things were flying at me. I actually shielded my face because it scared me.
Nice. Yeah, it's like the Red and Link did a video of them playing like a horror VR game.
Oh my
And,
gosh,
like,
I wouldn't even do that.
yeah,
No.
they were like freaking out,
I
And
bet.
they ham it up a bit, but yeah, it's like legit scary. Yeah,
It
it's fun.
tricked my brain into making me think it was real.
I mean, you can tell it's computer graphics, but still like spatially, yeah, your brain's like what? But yeah, like you can jump into these movies now. Like they have these like near 365-degree camera
Cool.
balls, basically. It's like the only spot where it doesn't have a camera is like the handle.
Right.
There's cameras all the way around. It's like a camera ball. So like if you're watching a movie in that and you've got the VR headset, like each time you're watching, you can look around anywhere you want.
Neat.
And see what's going on around you, like in this film. And yeah, each time you go through, you can look in a different direction and see something else you haven't seen before, because they filmed in. It's even more than 365 degrees. I mean, it is a camera ball. It's like I said, just the spot where the handle is the only place there's not a camera lens.
That's amazing.
So you can look except for like straight down at your feet. That's like about the only spot you can't quite see, but otherwise you can look anywhere. I've just heard about it. I haven't watched one in VR myself, but I was like that's pretty cool.
I thought about getting a VR like an Oculus a couple of years ago or something, but man, the prices of electronics these days.
Oh yeah, newer stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't quite justify of the purchase.
Like new console, like games haven't changed much in price. Like they're still about the same as they used to be. Like a new Sega Genesis game, I think they would be like $50-$60.
Yeah, I think they're going up
Yeah.
to 70 now.
I mean, there were a few like that, I think, back in the day. But like, but the consoles back then were like 100, 150 at most. But now, like, you can't get a new console when it first comes out for less than like 500-600. And that's like the base models. But anyway, we need to wrap this up. We're going long here, so nerds. So next week we're going to be doing our deep dive into the Super Mario Brothers movie, I think is the full title. Not to be confused with Super Mario Brothers from 1993. But yeah,
Or the anime
or the anime
on YouTube.
but the Super Mario Brothers movie, we'll be doing a deeper dive into the movie. That's coming next week, so keep an ear out for that. And just a reminder to subscribe. We have 2 subscribers now. By the way, let's see. I need to actually check and see who the second one was. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Irreverent Nerds podcast. If you would, consider following us on Instagram. We are there at irreverent_nerds. You can also hit us up on Facebook. Just look us up there at the Irreverent Nerds. That's our fan page. We have a YouTube channel as well. Once again, the Irreverent Nerds. Nice and simple, right? And if you go to www.irreverentnerds.com, that will send you to our Podcasters for Spotify, formerly Anchor.fm profile, where you can send us a voice message if you want to, support us financially, or listen to the podcast. It will also direct you to other places you can listen, like Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, you name it. So, like, comment, subscribe, follow, all those good things, wherever you find us, wherever you listen to us, we would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, nerds, live long and prosper. Avengers assemble! I'm Batman.